Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my podcast. Today's podcast is about spiritual law. And spiritual law is like the law of gravity. If I walk off of my roof, I'm going to splat on the ground. It's not personal. Nobody did it to me. It's just a law that I can count on. Well, there's another law that I can count on regarding relationships. And that is, I don't get what I say I want, I get what I am. So it's very important to look and see what I am. And I came up with the idea of doing this podcast during my last one because as I was walking, doing my morning walk, I was behind two women who were gossiping about others. And that's not uncommon. Most of us have spent a lot of time talking about people who aren't present. It could be people in our family, it could be friends, it could be people in our community, it could be people on a national level, it could be people worldwide, but we talk and gossip and criticize, and that may feel good initially to commiserate with someone or to have a gripe session with someone. It feels kind of like we're together or bonded when we do that, when we are agreeing, or at least when someone is listening to us talk like that. It feels like they're agreeing to it. It feels like we're close. It's a false sense of closeness, and it's a false sense of relationship. And what we learn as we keep doing that is that it kind of is, if we do it a lot, it kind of starts rotting our soul. It kind of takes us further and further away from the goodness that we have inside. And the further away we get from the goodness we have inside, the more we ourselves will suffer. And that's the spiritual law part. It's not anybody doing it to you. It's not a punishment. It's simply cause and effect. It's simply an outcome. That when we talk badly about others, we are bringing ick into our own lives. And that feels bad. That feels icky. It's just a law. And so this spiritual law can be super helpful. It can help us to wake up. We can notice that these relationships, and by the way, if someone is gossiping with you, then you better believe that they are also quite capable of gossiping about you. And frankly, so are we. So everybody's up for grabs if shared gossip is the underpinning of relationships. It's very, very shaky ground. So we can actually start practicing, and this is what I started practicing. I started practicing to never speak about anyone with someone who was not present, which really did for a while feel like I wasn't having any conversations with anybody because my life had become so riddled with gossip. I didn't even really understand that I was gossiping. It was just what was modeled. talking about other people. Such and such is gaining weight. So and so won this or that. So and so lost this or that. So and so's relationship is a disaster. So and so is whatever. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It ends up harming us, harming our relationships, and harming others. And when we are about harm, when we're bringing harm into the world, there's no way that we aren't going to be affected by that. We are going to be impacted profoundly by what comes out of our mouths. Interestingly, it's also what goes on in our head. So the first level is that we don't speak about people who aren't present. It's an actual, change in behavior. And when we cannot quit something that's as constant, has been as present in our lives as that has. So the best thing to do is substitute a new behavior for that behavior. And when I'm talking with somebody who I normally have been gossiping with, now I'm going to be proactive and I'm going to speak kindness about others. I'm going to initiate that. I'm going to model that. I'm going to lead with that. And sometimes that does the trick. And my relationships start to transition immediately. Sometimes it takes a while. And I can also try this. When someone is gossiping, I can first try to just not say anything about it. Just let there be silence. That's a good thing, because when there's silence, everybody has to sit with and notice what's been going on, what's really going on here. Silence has a miraculous way of really shining a light on what's really going on. And sometimes that will transition things, and our relationships will start being more about, good things. And if that doesn't do it, then I just have to kindly say, I can't speak about people who aren't present. And sometimes that will do the trick, and sometimes, sadly, people may need that kind of interaction so badly, and it may be so ingrained in their lifestyle and their relationships that they can't participate in a relationship where that doesn't exist. And that's okay. That's okay. So it's not my job to make decisions about anybody else's behavior. It's my job to get clear on what I can and can't lovingly participate in. And another part of spiritual law is whatever we do or think about grows. So if I think about good things, love, kind thoughts, warm thoughts, looking for the good in others, that grows. And again, it brings in to me I start experiencing the nearness of love, the nearness of kindness, the nearness of my higher power, the nearness of God. And that is what I really crave, is the good stuff. But if we focus on bad, if we do participate in gossip, that also will grow in our lives. And it's kind of like, watching something slowly rot. If I participate in that and keep participating in that, it might actually start impacting all kinds of areas of my life. And, and that's actually not bad. That's good. Because at any point when I suffer enough from my own choices, I can make a different decision. You know, that's the glorious thing about accumulating misery, accumulating negativity, accumulating ick, is that at any point there's an opportunity to go, oh, you know what? This feels bad, really bad to me. And I want to practice something new. And it's just a practice. Again, like the last podcast, nobody's going to be grading you about this. This is internal. You're going to get to practice and notice over time how this transforms your relationships with others. And thank you so much for listening, and practice a little bit of this and let me know how it goes and what results. Bye-bye.